you know.
Mm-hmm.
What has he been doing over these last several games that, I mean, has he, in your mind, taken it up a level?
Oh, definitely. I think this whole season he's taken it up a level, and I think especially recently, just his ability to be consistent. Every game you're seeing his mentality be the same, and that's awesome in terms of his growth. And he's going out there and he's doing his thing and he's locked in. He's in the moment, and he's playing the basketball we all know he can. And we've seen that for years, and so I'm just really excited for him and what he's doing. But he's playing like one of the best players in the country. He's playing like an All-American. So I'm very, very proud of him, and it's going to continue. So I'm excited for that.
Josh Christensen.
Yeah, Luka, I know that your main focus is on something else and not necessarily personal accolades, but I do want to ask about what did you know about Roy Marble when you first came in? What have you learned in your time here about his record and just when he played, whether it was through McCaffrey, or just in your own time of reading, of learning what kind of a player Roy was and just in his time as a Hawkeye?
I've just heard, a lot of stories, and obviously, I can see what he, did, stat-wise, and, obviously I've seen videos and highlights and different things, and just, how talented he was, and just, how much he impacted, the University of Iowa, often on the court, and obviously with his son too, and what he taught him, you could just tell, he was a guy who loved the game of basketball and appreciated every moment being a Hawkeye, and he was a tough guy to guard. The guy could score the ball with some of the best of them. So I think it's awesome to just be able to be a part of history and kind of approach where he's at. And obviously that wasn't ever a goal of mine. When I was walking into University of Iowa, I never said I wanted to get that record. I think just over time, I think things just took kind of care of itself, and obviously I'm in this position now, but it would be a tremendous honor to be able to be talked about in the same sentence as him. So it definitely is really cool when you think about that.
Steve, if I can ask a follow-up real quick. Luka, how important is it as a player to learn that history? When you're approaching maybe a record, how important is it to learn about that player, that history when that player played?
Yeah, for sure. I think, me, I'm a guy who loves the game of basketball. So wherever I'm at, I want to know the history of who played there and the history of the Big Ten. And so, I knew who Roy Marble was in high school when I was first starting to be recruited by Iowa. Obviously I'd heard of him, but I started to learn more about just the best players in this program over time. And so I think I've always been a guy who's appreciated the legends of the game of basketball, and especially in this a university that I love. I want to know who was the best and how they did it. And so that's something that I was curious to know more about him, and AC Earl and some of the other guys. When you mentioned this program, you talk about those guys. So Don Nelson, whoever it may be. So it's as a kind of a basketball nerd myself, it's really cool to be talked about in the same sentence as some of these guys.
Mark Emmett.
Yeah, Luka, two-part question. I guess your string of consecutive games in double digits got snapped, obviously, at Michigan State. How important was that to you? Were you upset by that? And then secondly, what was it like to sit there and watch your team basically destroy them, even though you didn't have your best game?
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, it wasn't really important to me. I didn't really know that was that long. I knew, I think I knew, San Diego State was the game because I remember that game from last year. But, honestly, it wasn't really important to me. It was more important that we won the game. And, obviously, you want to play well in every game that you play in. And I think, I think in the first half I did some really good things in terms of, picking my spots, being able to move the ball. They were aggressively, double team me and triple team me as per usual, for me in the Big Ten. But especially after coming off a game like I had against them at home, I think they made a real focus to kind of try to, kind of shut me out. And so I moved the ball as much as I could and tried to get other guys involved. And, Connor McCaffrey was, tremendous, stepping up and knocking down, some 3-point shots. And, when I catch the ball in a double team, they send a guy off Connor. I tell him every time that he's got to shoot that with confidence, because I know how good of a shooter he is. So it was nice to see, him be able to step up there and make a lot of threes. And obviously Weezy was tremendous, and we were just killing him from the outside. I think, they really had a game plan to stop me from the inside, especially early. And I only took 3 shots in the first half, and they did a good job on that. But I just went out there to win, and that was my main focus. So, I think in the second half, I missed a couple shots that I usually could have made. Some rimmed out on me. Obviously I wasn't making my free throws either. But for me, I've said this before, but I didn't come back, to score points. Obviously I do score points, but I didn't come back to do that. I came back to win games. So I think, when I look back at my career, being able to beat Michigan State by 30 in their place is something I'm going to remember over, having 26 points against whoever. That is a memory that I'm going to remember, because, it was a lot of fun just to be out there and play so together and be connected and beat a team like that on their home floor. I was there my sophomore year when we were down 27 to them, and I don't remember if I had a good game or I had a bad game, you remember losing by that much. So, I think it's just awesome to be able to experience a team win like that. But, it's just a game of basketball. You're not always gonna, make shots. It's just how it is. So for me, it was a lot of fun to play there and to win there. So more than anything, I was just happy for my teammates and all of us who just got to experience being able to walk out of there with the building, which as everybody knows, not many teams do. And for us to have the biggest win there in the Izzo era is something I'm going to remember for the rest of my life.
Chad Lysico.
And you swept him.
Yeah.
I know you're a basketball junkie and you know the standings of the Big Ten. I mean, how important is this game to getting a top 4 seed? I mean, you understand that the tiebreakers here are very significant where you guys sit in the conference. How big a game is this for you guys?
Oh, it's a huge game. I think, honestly, every game we've had in this Big Ten is huge. You in terms of separation, in terms of beating other teams, because there's so many good teams in the league, that every team, is kind of close. Obviously Michigan's, in the lead right now, but when you look at, second place, that's 3 losses and then 4 losses, and we're at 5 losses. There are a lot of teams that are really kind of in this area. So it's competitive, and we're really excited for the opportunity to go out there and play, one of the best teams in the country in Wisconsin. And we all know what Wisconsin is capable of, and obviously they won the Big Ten last year, and they have the same guys back. They have a lot of experience. They're a really, really good team. So we know that this game is the most important game in our schedule, and that's how the next game always is for us. So we're excited for this opportunity to go against a great team.
All right, and our final question comes from Mark Emmert. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, Luka, kind of following those lines, I'm sure you saw that the first brackets came out. You were a 4 seed. Are you kind of paying attention to those things yet, and trying to figure out how you guys can climb in the seedings?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, I think you definitely want to pay attention to that, because you want to put yourself in a position where you're a top seed, and so we know we're grinding and working to put ourselves in the best position as possible, for that, because we know, obviously you want to have the higher seeds, in terms of just, who you play first round and who you play second round. And, it's tough when you go like our sophomore year when we beat a very good Cincinnati team, and then we have Tennessee the next game. You want to put yourself in a position where you can, play against really good teams, but, wait to play the best teams. So when it's in the Sweet 16 or Elite 8 or whatever the case may be. So we obviously understand how important that is. And, for us, we're just focusing on just improving every day and winning as many games as we can in the Big Ten. And we know, the rest of that stuff is going to take care of itself. But, it's definitely exciting to be, considered a 4 seed right now. And we think, there's a lot of room for us to grow and catch other teams in terms of rising up on those standings.